We're gonna react to Faris Khan, AKA Brother Faris, and we're gonna start right now. So recently I was privileged enough to have Faris Khan come up to Garage Strength, spend 2 days with us, and even do a video summit. We presented in front of some of the best strength and conditioning coaches in the entire world, just talking about speed, talking about strength, talking about group-based training. And we still have that video on demand available for you, but one of the biggest things that I liked about that time was just spending time with Faris and discussing training and looking at how he analyzes things, and also just watching him move. He's an absolute freak. He's so twitchy, he's so elastic. He's the quintessential definition of just freak of nature, just super, super poppy. And that can all be attributed to his ability to work his freaking butt off, to execute things at high speed, and to be intuitive with his training. And that's exactly what he does for his athletes. So I'm gonna break down some of the stuff that I've learned from him, but also just share some of these freak videos that he does as an absolute animal athlete. So we actually had an exercise sort of similar to this, and it's funny because I did this exercise. The movement that I was doing was over mini hurdles like this high, and if you just go back and look at this, he's jumping over what, like, I don't know, 28-inch boxes as though it's nothing each way. And I even think I tripped on mine. So I love this exercise for repetitive work, banded up, quick reaction, great for agility. And this is one thing too, he's so good, and I want to say this, a lot of Instagram influencers will just post videos similar to this, okay? So they'll do like one-off videos that are crazy. You're watching him and you're like, dude, this dude moves like a freaking kangaroo. Like, this is crazy, right? The cool part, I love this movement. Love this movement. This is what I want to talk about. He breaks down the force velocity curve, and then he breaks down periodization based off of that. And then he goes into using benchmark for different athletes and say, okay, these are athlete benchmarks that we have to achieve if we want to be elite, which would be professional. If we want to be advanced, which would be like you're a high school starter or you're a very good high school athlete, or intermediate if you want to start and play on that team, or even if you're an up and comer, maybe you're in middle school. He takes those benchmarks and then compares it on the force velocity curve based around his periodization. It makes it so easy to understand. And that's what I love about these movements, is like, these are exercises he's using, but he knows where to piece them into his periodization and how to set that up as simply as possible. He lays it out so clearly, so eloquently. This is good for athletes coming out of the blocks. So think about that. Think about, you're a sprinter coming out of the blocks. What do you need? You need to be explosive. You need to be twitchy. You got to do it repetitively. You've got to focus on the quads and the glutes. They'll do simple stuff like calf raise. That's okay to do that. It's okay to do isolation work. Yep. Boom. There you go. I love this movement. This is a tough one too. A lot of people, when they'll do like an isometric split squat with that lowering, you'll see when I do it, I sort of like hitch a little bit. And if you can get it smoother and smoother and smoother and smoother, that can pay big time dividends. And you can see with Faris, he's nice and smooth, nice and smooth. Back up, good. Great for the calf, great for the feet. This one's, I don't think people realize how challenging this is. And like, you look at the movements that he did in the beginning, the side jumps and all that stuff, he's able to do those exercises in those manners by doing simple movements like this that look simple, but they're incredibly challenging. Yeah. Also, one of the things that I learned from Faris was just how he does his Instagram and social media from a business perspective. I think that was, you know, here's a good one. Trap bar jumps, boom, twitchy, boom, twitchy. Yep, and a little deceleration into that slow eccentric. Another great one. Good. We're gonna do a video in the future of the 6 things I learned from Faris, and that's gonna be a killer one as well. Nice, it's nice, simple. I think, again, you got to do the simple stuff. You got to do the fundamentals. You have to build that base, and you have to build the fundamentals, and then you get advanced. But it still comes back to the fundamentals. If you execute the fundamentals consistently, thousands and thousands and thousands of times, that's what makes you advanced. That's some of the biggest stuff that I learned from him, that just cements the things that you think through it, and then you see people on social media like, oh, well, they're doing X, Y, or Z. Maybe I should try that. Or they're saying I should squat with my toes in, or they're saying I should squat directly like this. It's like, dude, just execute the fundamentals thousands and thousands and thousands of times. Another thing I did like was talking to him about how he eats and trains during Ramadan. I think that's another big aspect so he's Muslim. During Ramadan, what happens with their eating? If you have a Christian that's dealing with that or doing that same thing, that would be typically during Lent if they're a diehard. Dude, look at that, holy shit. And I think that was another big aspect. This is just insane. This is like the razor curl version of barbell rollouts. This is just insanity. But how his approach during Ramadan, how he plans it out, how well he eats, that's also a big factor. Is he takes care of his body. He takes care of it. He holds that very, very strictly in his approach. That backflip was, oh, I love that. Love it. Yep. Look at the size of that water thing. Yeah, so I think that was one thing I just wanted to point out as well. It's like when it comes back to one, seeing what he does on social as far as those freak movement patterns. He's an absolute freak, right? One of the twitchiest people I've ever been around. But also his brain, how well he can take very, very advanced concepts and bring it down and make it simple for you to comprehend and understand, and then apply it. That's the other thing, is it's the application. And then finally, how strict he is in the sense of, if you want to be a world-class athlete, elite level athlete, or if you even want to be an influencer or a coach, a world-class coach, as Faris is, you've got to hold yourself accountable based off of what you're eating, based off of how you're sleeping, based off of even your spiritual levels and things along those lines. And I think that those are all important aspects to also take away from this. Faris Khan, absolute freak. If you guys want to pick up the video on demand of Faris and myself at this year's online strength summit, head over to garagestrength.com, because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.